Good morning. At least it's morning as I am recording this video for you. My name is Nicole Thomas. My email is at the top. I'm making this PD for my teachers that came to a recent session where the computers in the lab were not up and running for them. So I wanted to walk you guys through it, and I hope you find that it's helpful. I've tried to give you a couple minutes to get my email written down. So you're going to want to be in any browser, but I use Chrome. And you're going to need to have a Gmail account. So if you don't, then you need to watch a YouTube video on setting up a Gmail account. Once it's there, just open up a tab, and we're going to go to Google Forms. And so this is the first thing on there, and that's what I'm going to click because that's where I want it. So I do not have a way to get to Google Forms in my Drive to the page that we're getting ready to go to until I've already created a form. So if you have forms that you've already created in your Google Drive, you can just click on one of those, and there will be a arrow in the top left-hand corner. And when you click it, it'll take you to the page we're getting ready to go to. So I'm going to click Go to Google Forms. And this is why you have to have a Gmail, because that is how you get into that. And we are going to click on this blank Start a New Form right here. If you've created forms before, and as you create them, if this is new to you, they will appear in order, the order that you created them. So when we click on blank, the left arrow that I was talking about before, if you click on a form you've already made and it sends you to this page, this left arrow, is always up there, and you can click that and it will take you back to the original page where you can always create a new one. So I just wanted to let you know that. If you are using this as a quiz or an exit ticket, then you can label it with maybe the content that you're using. I'm just going to go ahead and do today's date. Once you label it, notice that it says saving up here, and it's automatically started saving this in Drive for us. If you click on the untitled form in your left-hand top, it'll change to whatever you typed in right here. I want to point out that on the creator's side, you've got questions and responses. If you click on responses, you'll notice that there is an accepting responses tab. The default is for it to be on, but you do always want to check that. If you were giving this as a timed quiz or something in class, and let's say you told your kiddos that they had 10 minutes to take it, at the end of 10 minutes, you can give them a 60-second countdown. And once you hit that countdown, you can turn it off, and it will tell them whatever message you want in here, or it'll just turn it off. That's up to you. But you always want to make sure that that's on. I also want to point out this spreadsheet icon right here, because that's where we're going to look later when we're ready to make it grade it for us. So as we start to build this, I've just come up with 3 questions that we're going to put in here. But the first question I always put in is their name, because you want their name in the spreadsheet attached to their answers. So always have their name first. Notice that it started out as multiple choice, but as soon as I started typing in here, it kind of switched to the answer that it wanted. So Google Forms is very intuitive as far as wondering what you are going to put in there. But you always have control of that. So this is the drop-down menu that goes with it, and all the different choices that we have. The difference between short answer, and paragraph is just in the number of characters that it allows. You can do multiple choice. That's when just one answer is correct. If you have multiple choices that are correct, you want to choose check boxes. And then you can also notice there's a drop down, which I haven't played with yet, a file upload. The linear scale is more for surveys, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how well did you feel about this content, which is maybe something you want to add, and that'll help you know whether or not they're understanding what they're seeing. So the other thing to point out, you can delete the question if you don't like it with this trash can. You can duplicate the question. It's another way to just add the next, and you can edit it. And then I really want to point out the required right here. We want that required question. We want to make sure that they have a name on their quiz. These over here, this is how we add another question. or we add a title to what we want, or we add an image somewhere. You can also add an image right here, but it kind of hides when you float away from it, but it is there. So we're going to create another question. I wanted to show you how to add an image if you are, let's say, a science teacher and you want them to label something. So let's go up here to Google and let's type in heart images. I'm even going to say heart labeled images. And a lot of times if you'll scroll through, you can find one where the images are missing, or where not the images are missing. That didn't make any sense. But where the lines that are pointing are blank. So like right here. If we wanted to upload this as an image, you could do a save as. I usually snip things just because it's faster. So if I created a new snip, and I would say save as, I always make sure it's on my desktop, and I'm going to call it a heart. Now when we go back to Google Forms, if we want to upload that image, we click choose an image to upload, and there's our heart, and it'll put it on there for us. And we could say, if you wanted all of them, you could create multiple questions, but for the sake of this one, we're just going to say, what is E? And then we'll go down here. It made it a long answer, but we can make it a short answer. And we're going to require that question. For you math teachers, we'll add a math question. Unfortunately, there's no way to create, oh, did we make this one required? Yes. There's no way to type in on Google Forms an exponent. So if you wanted them to factor something like x squared, blah, 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 you can't do that. So what you would do is you could go into Word, and you could insert an equation. So we are going to make an equation based on what I'm writing here, where you can't see me. And we're going to tell them to solve it. So here we go. X squared, so we got to use this. And if you're a math teacher, you're familiar with how to use your equation editor, but x squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0. Okay, so let's say I wanted them to factor that or something to that effect. So I would snip it again, and I would save it on my desktop as equation 1 if I was doing multiples of these. And that's just an easy way for me to know when I'm calling it right here what I want it to be. So we saved it. There it is. And it just looks better. When it goes on there right here, you can tell it where you want it to appear. Those dots will not show up in the previewed version. So I would say, what is the positive solution? Something like that. Okay, and they're not going to need, you could also make that multiple choice, which is what we're getting ready to do. So turn that on. Okay, so we're going to add another question. This time we're going to let it be multiple choice. So let's say, who was the first president of the U.S.? Okay, and so let's say Abraham Lincoln, George Lincoln, Abraham Washington. Just trying to make them read right here. George Washington. Okay, so that's what it would look like. If you want to keep going, you just hit enter every time. Another way is you could upload pictures as your answer. So if you didn't want to give them names, but you wanted them to just recognize their picture, you could do that as well instead of the name. So you can put images in there. So there's really a lot that you can do with these. Let's make that one required. And if we wanted them to, let's do one more. Let's say, what is the S in STEM? And we're going to make that a short answer, and I'm going to show you why I picked that one in a moment. Okay, so once you've made a question required, notice you see this red asterisk right here. That means that it's required. So if we click in another one, now we see that there, down here. So now I always, before I go to send it, I click the preview eyeball up there to make sure that I see that I've made them all required questions and to make sure that it looks good. Okay, so this is quite a few questions that we've got on here, but that's good because that will help us when we go to send it. So to get back to where we can send it, click on the pencil and it takes us here. So I do want to talk about customizing themes really quickly. If you want to make it look pretty or you want to make it look unique, you can change colors, and you can also choose images to upload where this big purple banner is. They do have a pixel requirement, so you might have to search for it for a while, and I believe it tells you what that is. But these three dots right here allow you to do other things. If you want to be able to add people that can edit it, you can add collaborators right here. But if you're creating this for your students, when you're ready to send it, click on send. The easiest way to send it is using a web link. So if you click this link, it'll create a link to your quiz that's specific to your quiz, and I always shorten it so that it doesn't look so crazy. And then we're going to hit copy, and it's on our clipboard right now.